Hey guys, welcome back. 1989 Mole Crawler. This is part 2 of intake port casting and making modern artwork. That looks dope as hell, doesn't it? I know. Anyhow, first vid was how to make this, the silicone port, and this is a vital step. Obviously, we're making, basically this is the positive of a cylinder head, the intake port of 7120 from a Jeep, and now we're going to make the negative, or the actual cylinder. We're going to rebuild a cylinder head. I did this not because of porting. I'm going to get into porting down the road. I've never done it before, but which is why actually I'm really glad that this came out so well, and I'll explain that. But I'm doing it for an intake. I wanted to see and show the angle of an intake to see if it helped or not. Because i6s, especially Jeeps, they always come straight on, and instead of angled like here to basically see the back of the valve. So in theory, I could angle an intake and get a better clear shot. I don't know, in theory, but that's why I wanted to build this and try to see it with fog or smoke. And I made 2 of them. So one is crystal clear to the left. The other one is true, meaning that it's the roughness of the actual intake and everything. And there's a reason why I have a crystal clear one too. This was really easy. I don't have any prior experience except for a little bit. I used to shape and build a couple of surfboards, like a backyard shade tree shaper, basically. I was never pro or anything. And these are some boards I built, ripped off of Facebook when I deleted my account. I downloaded them. Yeah, I don't know the resolution. I don't know if it's because I took them on like a, God knows what I had 20 years, Moto Razor or some crap. But anyhow, some boards I used to do. And motorcycle tail I made for a cafe racer I used to have, old CB200. So I have a little bit of prior experience, but it's not like I ever built boats or did anything real, professional or serious. The epoxy, as usual, the list of materials is down in the comments of the video. Epoxy resin kit, $34. The 6.4 ounces, that makes a lot. So this doesn't really cost much to do. The clear boxes, I used 2 different sizes, and you probably saw them before. I used the 3.3 times 3, and I used the 3.9 times 3. I'll explain why and which one I would prefer. Honestly, don't buy the 3.9 unless you see a way to do something that I didn't think of. Totally plausible. Like I said, my first time ever doing it. My first time actually ever seeing something like this, to be real honest with you. Let's get into it. How we did this. So that's a 3.3 box. You notice the intake port. I'm just going to call it the intake port. Fits in there like super tight, really nice and snug. So it won't budge. Worked out perfect. Just literally happenstance. Spray it all down with the release agent, including the valve. One nice thing about it being so snug is that the valve didn't tip, and I'll show you when you get to the bigger one. It's too big. The bigger clear boxes, that is. All right, so here's me breaking out the epoxy. Oh, here comes Schluter. He's like, nope, F that, boring. I'm out. All right, mix up the epoxy 1-to-1. And then stir really well. I stir for about a minute in one direction, and then I go the other direction for 30 seconds, and then another 30 seconds back in the other direction. Because if it's not mixed up well, oh, you're gonna have a mess on your hands. Also, don't get it on anything that you care about. Don't get on your eyes. Just be safe with it. Straight up, don't be a dumbass with epoxy. I know they sell it like, if you look cutesy wootsy, like arts and crafts, fake flowers and stuff like that on Amazon, but and it's great. It's a great product. But it can get real crazy real quick. If you've ever worked with epoxy or know somebody that has, ask them. So anyhow, that's the first base. Wait 24, that's the other thing. Wait 24 hours. don't be, this is obviously time lapsed. If it doesn't fill it up all the way, you just gotta wait. You gotta wait it out. If you notice, I have a laser thermometer or whatever it is, laser temperature gun. When it's kicking off, it gets super hot. Now, if you do not wait that 24 hours, because when it finally gets done and dries and becomes hard, it cools back down to room temperature. But if you are like, oh, I need more epoxy, and you do not wait and you go to mix them, I'm not shitting you. You will have a chemical fire. I've seen it. I've read about it. It's crazy stuff. And a lot of people, they think it's like, I don't know, they think it's like drywall mud or anything else that dries. You just pour more on, you know, like, nope, you do not do that with epoxy. You wait the 24 hours, right? All right, so there we go. There's our finished product. That's crazy. That valve pops right out, huh? That's insane. Now, it looks like there's a lot of bubbles. To get rid of bubbles, there's a few different tricks. Google it. You can use a vibrating pad. You can heat it up slightly all around it. You can put it in warm. When I used to build boards, to get it more liquidy, I would actually put warm water in a big bucket and then put the two containers in there and wait about 5-10 minutes so that it heated up, basically absorbed the heat from the hot water, and it would make it like liquid. It kicks off faster, meaning like if you have 5 minutes to work with it, then you're only going to have like 2 minutes. But it does come out more liquidy and get rid of air bubbles. Anyhow, there's a whole bunch of different tips and tricks to epoxy. Probably other stuff I'm missing, but nonetheless, there you go. I didn't do any of that though. So the bubbles, it looks like there's crazy bubbles, and I did think, I was like, oh crap, I'm going to have like bubbles in the bottom of my mold, but I didn't. It was actually a perfect mold. So I tried doing it this way. Don't do it this way. No, not for that. Like, it's going to take forever. So got a little sanding disc on a drill, started going around it. And as epoxy heats up, it'll get softer. And as it gets softer underneath that, where the silicone is, it'll get really soft because the silicone's flexible. Now, the plastic is the hardest part, but it starts to come up. So it starts to chip away, and then it dawned on me to just shave the corners. So basically the whole entire plastic lid, so to speak, the whole entire face of that plastic box just pops right off, which is genius. I didn't even plan it like that, but it just happened. And now it's a diagonal, which, yeah, it looks like a pain in the rear. But I like this method better than the larger box, and I'll explain why when we get to that. So still using that little sander. That thing sucked. So went and got a big grinder. Starts coming off. Again, the epoxy gets soft with heat, especially with no backing behind it, with just the soft silicone. So you can start breaking around it. The intake port, it's kind of like thick rubber. It's like, gets very rubbery when it heats up. Get out the rubber handled pliers and pop the silicone out. Actually comes out of the epoxy very easily. Maybe I sprayed more release agent in there. I don't know why I did compared to the head. So there we go. Pretty cool. That's an exact copy of the intake port. Like, you can see the casting lines and everything. And like I said, it looks like it has bubbles in there, but it does not. Trust me. Nice and, well, it's smooth for an as-cast 7120 head. I mean, it's kind of, I didn't expect it to turn out that well, to be honest with you, but it is dead nuts on. You put in the valve and it actually closes, because I had this on a vacuum. and it actually seals and everything. So for all intents and purposes, that's cylinder head. In fact, if you remember on the first vid, the lines around the circle, or the circle with the lines in it, the little mark of the beast that you could barely see in the intake casting, I mean, sorry, the cylinder head, that actually even showed up in there, which is crazy. Like totally nuts. So, and that was very hard to see with the naked eye. The reason I didn't like this one is because I was trying to catch it on film, and the roughness of it, it's very hard to see the fog, right? I could see it, but man, you start to film it, I tried different lights. I tried red light. In person, red light actually did pretty good, but as you can see on film, doesn't show up at all. Like I even saw like a little baby Eddie in there. It was kind of cool. But I couldn't catch it on film though. And I tried blue. Blue was horrible. I might try putting like a food dye in my fogger. Some people on the internet says it ruins the fogger. Other people says it doesn't. I don't know. It's a cheapy fogger, so I may give it a shot. But nonetheless, it's nice to see in there compared to using a cylinder head, like right there. That's pretty sweet, right? I mean, look how bright and clear that is. That's like nuts. Yeah. So I take that as a win, and I'm going to play around with it some more. Like I said, this is part 2. There's a whole bunch of different parts of going through this. And this is it with the lights off. It's shining a light from below, or from up top, sorry. But that's pretty cool, right? We can actually see what the port is doing. But that wasn't really good enough for me. Because for the video, I wanted to be able to see it more clear, and also for my curiosity. So I did was I took our port again. I mixed up some more silicone. I did way more than I really needed, just so I could get it. When you're working with 1-to-1 mixes, you want, like, the bigger the volume, the better, because if you're off 1% of 1 ounce and then off 2% of another ounce of part A and part B, it equals to a lot more than off 1 ounce of 15 ounces and 2 ounces of another part of 15 ounces. Hopefully that makes sense. It does in my mind, but I'm not very good at English, so there you go. So I just basically clear coated, or smooth coated it with a chip brush with more silicone. You can see where it's, this is it wet, but I'm just showing how smooth and shiny it is. When we get done, you can actually see how shiny it is there. So this time, I decided to use a 3.9 by 3.9 by 3.9 box, because my thinking was that if I put it in straight, I could see a side view much easier. Well, it's easier said than done. But I'll explain that. Let's get into it. So you can see right here, I'm already kind of running into issues. Because it's not in there snug, you try to use the valve stem to make that void. It's too much weight. It just wants to tip it over. 3.3 inch box, it was sitting in there diagonally, but snug, right? So I tried taping it. I tried hoisting it up, everything, leveling it out, all that jazz. No avail. So then my idea was, well, screw it. I put the port 90 degrees to it, even though it kind of shifted a little bit. But you can see here, it's not an exact 90 degrees on the bottom. The one to the left is the larger one, clearly. And so you either got a choice of a slight angle at the valve seat, or like to the right, where you cut the angle in on the corner with the tighter box. I would rather do it the way on the right if you were to do this, right? Because the valve is the more important part to have suction to, and to actually close off, seal off. And you'll see that. I can actually, I'll show that in the video a little bit later. So I couldn't get the valve stem to take up the hole, so basically I just poured a thin layer on there, just so when it dried, it would just kind of hold it in there, hold it all together from flopping around. So that dried. We only got one layer on there, and I go and I cut the corners. All right, cut the corners of the plastic, take that whole entire face off. There's my jean shorts, because I'm bringing sexy back. But you see, you can kind of see where I have to cut now the valve seat at that angle, whatever angle it is. I mean, it's very slight. It's like probably 5 degrees, something like that. But man, it's really hard to do with a grinder. Yeah, that already is kind of looking like crap. Anyhow, so I taped the lid on there just so I didn't want the dust getting inside there. Because remember, I'm trying to make this one crystal clear without the imperfections of the casting. The actual cylinder head casting, I should say. A little texture and all that. So now the valve will sit in there. Gotta hoist it up. You do not want that valve getting stuck in. You don't want anything getting stuck in epoxy. It does, it's done for. It's done for. You're not getting it out. Now without release, a ton of release and all that kind of jazz. But even then, if that valve head got in there, it's just done. Chuck it. So mix up some more, do my second pour. The reason I put underneath that red cup was because I knew it kind of leaked through the valve, and it did. Not very much, but it did. Didn't want it on my table. So go back to grinding. The intake side, obviously I just had to cut off that plate of plastic, basically, that wall of plastic. The valve was a little bit harder to get out of this one. So the intake came out nice and easy, very clean. I popped the whole thing out. Razor around it. So here's where the issue came in. The valve in, it's crystal clear. It's smooth. I got that part correct. It's pretty dope looking. Looks like a polished intake. So if you were to polish your intake, that's what it would look like. But you can see where the valve doesn't. Yeah, the valve does not have a good seat compared to the other one, which was dead on. So here I try to whittle away more on a flat surface. It did okay. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not very happy with it, but it is clear. And like I said, for my purposes, I just wanted to see the angle of the fog, basically, of an intake. So maybe I'll try making a clear one again, but with the smaller box at the angle, because I think that was just a better product, to be real honest with you. And here's kind of what I wanted to see. It still didn't work out, but this is in slow motion. That's just a clear plastic tube. And that's fog, obviously. It's gathering up. The back is not on. And this is in slow motion. And then this is it with the clear tube tilted. And then these are both of them side by side. So the one on the left is flat and the one on the right is tilted. And this is in slow motion. I tie them to the same. So, I mean, I don't know. For my testing, I don't really know what it proved or disproved. But I need a better setup. This right here is my setup. Yeah, it's pretty lame. And then obviously using a jug, because it kept going down the floor side, which is incorrect. I know. I'm like, no, you're doing the wrong thing. Like, I'm trying to tell physics to do it the other way. But no, like, for real, I think it's my setup. I think the vacuum is biased on one side. And so for my particular testing, I'm going to get a larger clear box and see if I can get a more centered vacuum and see what I come up with. I may also build or buy a flow bench, not like a really expensive one, but you know, like DIY sort of, and try it that way. But I thought this was a really cool project because first off, we can see our flow from the inside, especially if you have it lit up from the bottom or the top. I mean, it's way more clear than looking down a dark, dingy head. You can also see what different textures do easily. So instead of grinding out, if you have a flow bench or not, instead of grinding out metal, and it's very hard to kind of sometimes see down that floor to where the valve is, you just can't because it's metal, obviously, duh. So there's a lot of different. Basically, you can grind this away and see what changes. Well, you can either grind away the actual epoxy, which is way easier on tools, and then grind that away and test and look at flow, whether it be on a flow bench or with smoke. Or you could take that silicone mold and, like how I did, where I basically put a light coat on it. I basically went from rough cast of a cylinder head. And if you polished it up and made it super shiny inside, that's what it would look like. So if you're into like induction, porting heads, stuff like that, I think this is kind of it's a cool tool, because there's two ways you can change what that port does and test it out, see if it works or doesn't work. It's inexpensive. It weighs a lot less than a cylinder head, cheaper than a cylinder head. You can see what the hell's going on. And like I said, my videos didn't really do it. The original one, that's still my favorite one, not the crystal clear one, because in person, I can see what it's doing. It's in video, it gets a lot of glare and stuff like that. It doesn't want to focus very well. Probably because there's so much refraction of light going on. But in person, oh bro, it's like crystal clear to the eye, and you see what the smoke's doing and what the fog's doing. It's pretty awesome. So I'm going to play around with it some more. When I get more into cylinder head porting with my intake, I'm still going to try to rig up something to see if I can actually see it. If I get a flow bench, that will still help, because I could do the actual head, or I could make one of these that's very low cost and doesn't take long. Most of it's just sitting around waiting for the crap to dry. I mean, overall labor, maybe like an hour all together, mixing, pouring. That's about it. And a little bit of sanding and grinding. I just never seen it done before, and so I thought I'd share it with you guys. I mean, if you use your imagination, like I said, man, it's like Pandora's box of induction here. All right. Hope you enjoyed it. Like, subscribe, all that good jazz, and I'll see you guys on the next one.